welcome to Push Your Luck video. My name is Eric and today we'll be looking at Isle of Monsters. Now before we begin, as usual, Push Your Luck video is a proud affiliate of Fun Again Games. So if you go to Fun Again Games website and if you upon checkout, there's an affiliate code there. If you put in PULV, that's PULV, it will send a little bit our way, and every little bit it will help me in improving the website, the video content, and the video output as well. So if you do that, thank you so much. Now let's get to our video review of Isle of Monsters. Now, Isle of Monsters is a 2 to 5 player game. It came out in 2017. It's by designer Joshua DeBonis and Nicola Risteski, both of whom I've known and in the New York scene as well. They are New York game designers and they are in New York scene and also do video games as well. So Isle of Monsters is by Mayday Games. Alright, and what is happening is a bit like Pokemon. If you think of Pokemon, it's a bit like that. You're trying to capture monsters. You're not really going around capturing them. They just exist and you just need to decide which monsters you want to capture. After you capture them, you need to feed them before they can go into your deck, where you can then use them to battle other players' monsters. And then you're trying to scare them, and then if you do that, you get points. And there's also then elemental elements to it, different monsters will have different elements, and then if you manage to beat your opponent's elements as well, you also get scare points as well. So at the end of the game, when the deck runs out, whoever has the most points will win the game. So let's take a look at the components of the game and how to play the game and my thoughts about the game. Alright, let's take a look at the components of Isle of Monsters. Now this is the main board where most of the food tokens will be there, as well as these are the side islands where you'll be placing the creature cards as well as 2 food tokens. Alright, regardless of the number of players, there's always be 2 food tokens. The number of food tokens here will depend on the number of players that you have. Each player will also have their own cage cardboard. Alright, it's pretty cool. It's nice thick cardboard, and yeah. So all in all, and then you also have a bunch of scare tokens, which will be the points. Effectively, these are the point tokens that you get in the game. And yeah, so all in all, the components quality is pretty okay, pretty nice thick cardboards. The cards are okay as well. They might start warping a bit though if you shuffle them and play with them a lot. So you might want to sleeve the cards. The artwork is quite basic, but the various creature cards that you have is pretty cute. You see, like let's see if I can find a low level monster. So you see like this low level water creature is 2, and it looks like a very cute tadpole. But if you evolve it later on, you can see that it becomes bigger and more scarier and more crazier. So number 9 is the largest you can have in the entire deck. Then there's 3 different types. So there's the fire, there's earth, and there's water. Each creature card will also, so it will show you the power of this creature here. You can see the 6 here. Alright, and also it is afraid of it can kill earth. So when you fight against an earth creature, you get extra points. Alright, these are also the food tokens that you need. Alright, there's 3 different types of food tokens: the yellow, the blue, and the pink. And these are the food tokens that you need to feed it before it can go into your hand and fight for you. Alright, so all in all, the components are pretty good, pretty okay. So let's take a look at how to play the game. So as set up, you will draw from the back. Alright, there's a back here. Alright, you draw from the back a number of food tokens equal to the number of players, put it in the middle of the board. Draw 2 food tokens per island. Alright, each player will be sitting between 2 islands. So in this case, I'll be sitting between these 2 islands. This island will be shared between this player and me, and then there'll be another island here to share between this island here will be shared between this player and me. And when we share island, we also share access to the creature cards here as well as the food tokens here as well. Okay, and then you shuffle a number of cards and you put them all face up like that so people can see the creatures available for each of the islands. And then you go to take a look at the rulebook. You see that it's a quick reference, and this is how you play the game. During each turn, each player will decide whether I want to capture a monster, feed, or pass. And once you pass, you're out of that round. Alright, capture a monster means you will be taking one of these monsters from the top, alright, and you put it into your empty cage. Alright, you must have an empty cage before you can put one down. So I took one from here and put it here. This also reveals the next monster, and kind of interesting because the interaction between you and this player on the right now will determine, like for example, let's say if I took this one, that means the next one is available for this player to capture. Alright, so do I want to do that? Of course, you are not supposed to be able to see what the other creatures are below the deck, but given the nature of everything is face up, so it can be a bit tricky to do so. Alright, but nevertheless, try. So that's capture. Next is to feed. So what happens is that you take one of the food tokens either from this island, the island on the right, the center island, or island on the left, and you put it onto your creature. So for example, in this case, I can take this blue one and then put it here. So this is an interesting part because you can see very clearly what kind of there's a lot of open information in the game. So you can see very clearly what kind of food tokens are available. You can also see what kind of creatures your opponent needs to feed them. What kind of creatures your opponent needs to feed, and also what food tokens they need. So in this case, you have a lot of open information for you to decide which food token you want and which will be the best for you to take. Alright, so you need to make sure that, and this is where it comes in, where you need to observe your opponents very carefully and make sure that you choose the right one. Because if you choose less than optimum food token, alright, then they have a chance to get the food token and even complete the creature, which is bad for everyone on table. So in this way, it feels a bit like mahjong in a way, where if you throw out the wrong tile, you are not only are you you're not getting the best food token for yourself, you're also screwing everybody else over. You're kind of making everybody else pay for your mistake. So this can be a bit heavy, alright, it can be a bit too much impact for a player to take, so it depends on the type of game that you want to play. Lastly, you can pass. So passing is just to pass, and then that's your turn. So once all players have passed, we go to the mature phase. It basically means that if you see any monsters that have all their food tokens filled in, so in this case, it was like this, alright, you take all the food tokens, you put it back into the bag, and you put this card and put it into your hand. Alright, that's it. So everybody will see what monsters have matured. And then you go into the scare phase. So each player will now take the cards into their hand, alright, and then they'll decide to play one type of creature cards. Alright, so let's say for example, this is all my creatures that I have in my hand. Alright, I can either play these two together as a one type list, I play all the fire type monsters, or I can play one of it as well. It's fine if I play one of it as well. So once we decided, alright, then we are supposed to put it face down like that, and 1, 2, 3 will reveal. This will reveal to see who has managed to scare the crowd, scare the creatures, and score points. Now the tricky part of this is because the cards are so big, it's actually quite hard to hide how many cards you want to put out in your hand. I mean, my hand currently is a bit bigger than most, but still it's a bit tricky. Let's say I have all these cards in my hand. I will need to go on the table, need to decide whether I want this. Let's say I want this two. I need to put them together nicely, put my hand, and then do it this way. And then in this way, people may not be able to see that I have two cards in my hand, but often than not, if you're playing with kids as well, it becomes a bit trickier to do this. So it feels a bit fiddly. I'm not sure how I can improve it as well. I mean, perhaps the monsters are tokens. Then in that sense, I can then put my hand number of tokens and review what tokens I have in my hand, which will indicate what monsters I have. So maybe that might work, but right now using the cards is a bit clumsy. It feels very bit clumsy. But anyway, when you review, alright, you count the number of points that I have. So in this case, I have 12. Then I see which other players I have beat. So for example, let's say this is the case. Whoever, you check scare the crowd. Whoever has the largest amount of scare points, so this is 12, this is 15, and this is 8. The largest amount will win all the 3-point tokens. Alright, so in this case, this player will win a 3-point token. Then you check whether you scare other creatures. So my fire scares. My fire is not. It only scares earth, but there's no earth around. This water creature will scare my fire, so they will get 1 point token. And then this water scares my fire as well, so this player will also get a 1-point token. So in this case, this player will have scored 4 points. Okay, so you only affect people on your left and on your right. You don't affect people that opposite you. And that's scare other creatures. Then we check if any other players have any cards remaining in their hand to repeat the scare phase again. So if you're out, you're out. So let's say let's say I'm out. I have no more cards in my hand. I'm out. So now this player's left neighbor becomes this player's this player. All right, so they kind of ignore the space that I vacated. They kind of interact with each other now like this, for just for scaring only. So after we're done with the scare phase, we check the food replenishment, we check creature replenishment. Basically, that means I think to flip the next card over and to refill back the food again. So whatever food is left over, you will add more to it as well. That means potentially there could be a lot more food than just the 2 on this particular island. And then the game will end when the last creature card is dealt from the deck. All right, and then the final round begins. And then the final round is the same. We just do one more scaring, and then we see who has the most points. Whoever has most points will win the game. So that's it. That's all there is to the game. It's pretty simple. It feels like you're catching Pokemon. You're trying to remember cards. You're trying to see whether you can guess what your opponents are going to be playing that turn. And so let's go to my final thoughts about the game. So that's how you play Isle of Monsters. So what do I think about the game? Now it is a pretty light game. The mechanism where you sit and you're trying to interact with your neighbor on your left and your neighbor on the right is pretty interesting. It's been done before, but it's kind of interesting here because you need to look at the cards where they put in the creatures they put in their cages and see what food they are trying to get, and you see whether you can snatch the food away from them before they can fully feed the creatures, and then they'll put it in the deck. So you can do that. That interaction is pretty interesting. You can't be sure that your opponents or other players will do the same though. So it relies a lot on the players being aware of the left and on the right and what they need, and then trying to block them. So in a way, if you have players who are not fully aware of what's happening, then they might accidentally throw the game and end up your opponents will have better creatures to fight you with. Being able to remember what your opponent's creatures are is also fairly important, but it gets a bit tricky after all if you play with the full complement of players. I think if you play with 2, it might be easier, but if you play with the full set of 5 players, then it's definitely not as easy to remember what the other players' creatures are. And so being able to decide how to play it, how to play the cards later on, which creatures to come out first, and so on and so forth, will be a bit more tricky. It really depends on what the creatures are drawn from the deck that will appear. So if the deck that is shuffled onto your 2 sides, alright, contain very lousy creatures, then your best bet is maybe to rely on the elements, but even that is also a random choice. So the randomness may be something that you might not like. Alright, it really depends on how you shuffle the cards and what kind of cards are dealt to you. So if your choice of your options of creatures is pretty weak, like all the one hit, you could extend it by later on being the last one to have creature cards in your hand. But even then, the points that you get from having all those creature cards left in your hand is not as much as if you successfully scare your opponents left and right. Yeah, so I would say that there are some things here that Eurogamers may not like. Alright, there's still enough there that I will say that this is a light, even a light gateway game that you can introduce to kids and get them to play the game. And the art is very cute as well. There's many cute little creatures. The level 1 creatures are really cute, and the level 9 creatures are very big and very massive and look really angry and very dangerous. Alright, so all in all, I would say that for me, Isle of Monsters is a try before you buy. It may not appeal to everybody, but definitely if you think that you want to have your kids to introduce them into the game, you want to have something that's light, like after a heavy game, Isle of Monsters might be something that you will enjoy. So that's my recommendation for Isle of Monsters. I would say that this is a try before you buy. And thank you Mayday Games for this review copy. And thank you once again for watching. Bye!